Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. A Latte Lath and a Miggy. Atlanta United fans are in dreamland. We have a latte to get to. We getting all that and more coming up. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to the show, 5 Star Fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael, and we have a couple of announcements, a couple of preseason matches, and some really, really big news as well. We will get into that, but before we do, let's give some major love to our Patreon fam, and specifically Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew, Chris, Nick, and Jeff. You guys are legends. But yes, let's get into the news. And so LA United played the first of two preseason matches that one that was able to be seen for one. Birmingham Legion won 2-0. Definitely, it was a little bit better than the first one. That unfortunately we lost 2-1. But yeah, Gaiman Togashi, he scored the first goal from a header, and the second was from an own goal, where Jamal Tiari was kind of in the area, but decent attack wise, was a little bit more cohesive than it was previously, and we pretty much dominated the Legion for sure. But the second preseason match was against Orlando City. That was tonight. Full transparency, we are recording this on a Wednesday. And no scoreline announced. I think that's kind of going to be the case for all the rest of these preseason matches, where little to no fanfare. So
the rumor is 1-1.
Okay, yes. So it's rumored but not confirmed. And there was a Orlando City video of a goal that was scored on LA United, but other than that, who knows? Who really knows? But maybe we'll find out tomorrow in maybe some articles or whatnot. But as far as the preseason matches, any thoughts on the one that you were able to watch?
Yeah, I have one big one in that it's hard for me to take a lot from the Birmingham Legion match because we have never lost against them in preseason. I mean, in anything. I think we're 5-0 against them now. And so if that's the case, I expect us, at minimum, even in our bad years, to beat them every time. And we have. So we've beaten them in the past when we've been an absolute terrible team. That's why it makes me a little nervous to bring anything in terms of a conclusion out of that match.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just I wish these preseason matches were a little bit more competitive. Something that's actually is more than just fitness, where the teams are actually working on some stuff, maybe some penalties, maybe some kind of more pressurized situations, maybe more set pieces, maybe long throw-ins. I want to see some stuff being worked on rather than just these players really just kind of working off the winter fat, which I think it's a little bit more than that, but it does kind of feel like a little bit where it's like, okay, this isn't exactly brimming with entertainment, I would say.
Yeah,
but
I do have one other additional thing.
Sure.
In terms of what this means for our attacks so far in the preseason, we obviously don't yet have Miggy and Latte Lath in the rotation yet. So that's a lot of our speed that's not there, which is what will be kind of looking to be our bread and butter this season for how we attack. However, we haven't been using them obviously for the preseason, so we've been doing an alternative attack, and it's the way we've been scoring every time, which is headers off of set pieces or dead ball situations. That seems to be something we're getting good at. It seems like Cayman is actually pretty good at it too. It's exciting to see that we can be dangerous in more than one way. We're not just going to be relying on one tactic. We can switch it up. So that was positive for me to see, that even if we don't have our super fast speedsters, breaking lines and causing absolute chaos to the defense, at least we can rely on a secondary mode of attack.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's, you do need different looks and different dynamism, especially with different types of players. And if you have those type of creators that can actually feed the attackers, then fantastic. And I think, there's a bag of tricks, definitely with Moranchuk, with Click as well, that they'll be able to find the guys that to their strengths. But let's move on to Miguel Almirón. He was announced, and yes, Miguel Almirón was also met by a ton of Atlanta United fans at the airport, and it was definitely very heartening. He and his young family, his baby boy, were all pretty much, very surprised. He stayed and signed everything for anybody that wanted something signed, and pictures. There was also, a crazy poster that was a hologram that was printed off for Miguel Almirón. It was also, just chants galore. It was, as you would want, as much of a homecoming for Miguel Almirón. And definitely lovely to see. And also, during his press conference, it was, revealed that he'd be wearing the number 10 jersey. So it's definitely a lot of nostalgia right now, and it's a little bit hard to believe still, but the engagements through the roof for pretty much all the Miggy things, and it's just, it feels like a little bit of olden times, just a little. And it's definitely a
the
good
halcyon
vibe.
Days.
Exactly. But any thoughts on the airport? Kind of, I don't even know what to call that. I mean, the airport soiree, the airport Miggy party. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's a great sign, obviously, that Atlanta United still can, for obviously a club legend, you can still bring that kind of fanfare to an airport where a big player's coming. I remember we saw similar things, not anywhere as probably as big, I think, as for Thiago and then other players that have come here. It's cool that we do that. Not every club does that, and not every club does it to the degree that we do it or can do it. We have a rabid fan base, a very large one, that cares and actually will show up. And that's awesome. So it's not exactly common, I think, in MLS. So it's a good sign for us as a healthy community, and it's a really good sign for how excited the fans are for Miguel Almirón coming back.
Indeed. And came back. He did. He will join us as a designated player. And Chris Henderson had mentioned that. He was somebody that's when Lagerwey and Chris Henderson were with the Seattle Sounders, they had scouted Almirón, and they wanted to sign him. So it didn't quite work out. They Discovery rights were actually traded to LA United, and it actually, after all these years, Chris Henderson, Garth Lagerwey have got their man. So it's a bit wild that that is the case. Garth Lagerwey also experienced that moment when Miggy came back to the Benz. You were there. It was definitely amazing when he scored for Newcastle, and then he was able to do a little homage to Jose Martinez as well. I mean, it's just the nostalgia, the love that he has gotten from the fans. That's what Lagerwey remembered as well, and it has come to fruition. He is back as a 5-stripe. And Lagerwey said, "We all remember when Miggy came in and scored the goal, then spontaneously the whole stadium stood up and started applauding like crazy. I was sitting next to Darren Eales at the time, and he was like, 'Oh yeah, this is what it's always like.'" And he definitely didn't forget that. It's just kind of huge in terms of the love that Miggy gets. Chris Henderson also mentioned that when we assessed the team and what we needed, Miguel checked every box, and those qualities that align with Ronny Deila is that fast, aggressive pressing. Obviously Miggy's a very pacey player. He works hard, he adds energy to the group, and he possesses a passionate love for the game. He's a humble leader, definitely a player that leads by example for sure, with the smile that obviously we love him for. But Miguel Almiron, he also spoke to the press. Tried to speak a little bit of English, but I think he did try to essentially. He was like, yeah, he's still working on his English, but he, I think, understood a lot of the questions. He just wanted to kind of speak eloquently in Spanish versus in English. But he said, "When I arrived the first time, I was very happy. We were starting a new project, so we felt a great responsibility as players to be part of that. But now, here today, I think I'm more happy to be back and to be able to share these moments with my family. At the same time, also with an increased responsibility to help this team." So, the 30-year-olds, he comes with definitely a lot of pedigree. He was playing in the Champions League as well. He scored a good number of goals for Newcastle, but did fall out of favor this past year to Jacob Murphy on the right wing, and was still showered with love by Newcastle fans. But their loss is our gain, and it just seems like our two clubs are forever intertwined to that degree, because we sold him to them, and then they sold him back to us. And it's like the fans, both fan bases, absolutely love Miggy. But thoughts on the press conference and all that was said.
Yeah, just to point out, he might be missing out on winning a trophy with Newcastle if he just stayed a little bit longer because of, what is it, yes. Carabao Cup? They knocked your Arsenal out today, was it?
That did happen, yes. We will brush right by that, but yes. Go on with your thoughts.
So, it was just nice to see him in the press conference and talking. He just looks so happy. He always does. He just has that kind of... he's not young anymore, but still like a youthful exuberance, like
not young in soccer years, but I would say someone that's still I think very young in terms of the grand scheme of life. But you look at him at the press conference, he's like shining, beaming, happy, looking optimistic and full of energy and life, like kind of like he did when he got here the first time. So it's just, seeing that again is like you keep saying nostalgic, and I agree with it. It's bringing back a lot of those optimistic feelings about that. So it was a good thing to watch. It made me happy and optimistic for what's going to happen in the future. Yeah, for sure. And so definitely something that's has energized, I think, the fans, and where he's going to play. We will discuss in the mailbag, as we were asked some of those questions. But in between some of the announcements, there was a transfer rumor. So according to Antonio Petrazuolo, 33-year-old Portuguese left back Mario Rui, he is in advanced negotiations with Atlanta United for a 2-year deal. And after basically the Portuguese international made 227 appearances with Napoli, his contract with the club was terminated by mutual agreement. And yeah, I mean, definitely seems like a guy that would bring a lot of steel, bring a lot of experience, bring a lot of the kind of European, kind of Italian know-how, just because of how long he was there as well, which is definitely a little bit more of a physical league, a little bit more of yeah, you have the defensive nous, you have the, you know, kind of the street smarts a little bit as well. And whether he's a starter or a you know, depth player, which I think he's probably more of a depth player, but you know, Pedro Amador, obviously he is, maybe not obviously, he was injured, unfortunately, the past preseason match, and for Orlando. Yeah, to note as well, basically all our starters are not healthy right now in the defensive line. Amador, Derek Williams, Stian Gregerson, Brooks Lennon, of course, all not available as of this week. But so yeah, you know, as far as Rui, you know, if he's coming in as a you know, backup left back, what do you think?
If he was, we would be, you know, kind of celebrating that, because there's no chance that that's what's gonna happen. Based on what his salary, what he was making in Napoli, and
Yeah,
I mean, like it's potentially the case that he's just, I don't really care about money anymore. I want to move to the United States for whatever reason. I just want to play at a, you know, at any of the clubs that, I don't know, can pay me that, or like at least something. But it's the thing is, it can't be that much, because we're already pretty, like, you know, cap heavy at this point. I just don't know how we could make this fit. But like I said, if we could, that would be pretty amazing. Now, there's also a possibility that some players might leave. And then that would open up some room and some money for that. Like, I know Abram comes to mind because he makes a lot of money in terms of his salary. That guy, Rui, would still have to take one heck of a cut in order to even make what Abram is making. So, you know, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's if he did come, like you said, he's definitely got a veteran presence that would be very, very good in MLS. He's a little bit older, but he can definitely be a kind of a sage, you know, like an elder statesman type guy to help things out. And probably Alexi knows him a little bit.
Yeah, probably a little bit, but I mean, at least maybe has come across him. But this is the thing: Abram and Rui played vastly different positions to this degree, because Rui is 5'6". He's never playing center back, so you know, it's one of these things that, yeah, you know, obviously Abram maybe could spell at left back at times, in which he has. But it's just, yeah, as far as, you know, Rui, it just seems, yeah, it's a little perplexing. It's, you know, Amador has earned his spot. He's definitely, I think, the starter for sure. So having two Portuguese left backs, and possibly both taking up international spots, seems a little bit of a waste, especially, you know, Dominic Chonki has emerged as a player that Ronnie Diala, you know, is really liking. He's playing a lot in the preseason, almost forcibly a little bit, but you know, has not looked entirely too out of place. But especially though, it is against
say his
sides.
age. Did you say his age?
He's 17 years old.
Yeah,
so.
It's unbelievable.
Right, but he at least physicality wise, definitely plays a few years older for sure. Although, yeah, it's like, I remember being in Chattanooga, we were on the side where Dominic Chonki was, you know, pretty much running up and down on the left, and I remember the crowd reaction. Somebody in the crowd was like, "How young is that guy?" And I'm like, "Yep, that's a teenager." But yeah, it's insane. Yeah, because you can see it in his face, but you know, physicality wise, he just, yeah, it's like a filled out kid. It's not quite like Caleb Wiley when he was sold, but I think, yeah, there's some similarities to a degree. But yeah, either way, you know, we'll keep our eye on that Rui rumor. But
Well, let me tack on a little bit more that I learned about Rui. Recently before this episode was that I think also it might be a lot of agent work happening with this rumor, because Dallas has also been reportedly linked with him as well, and we all know about the funny discovery rights in MLS. So who knows if one of those clubs has discovery rights, and it's another club that's looking at him. So you don't know who's who. So it could be anything like that. But again, for us, it just doesn't seem like it makes sense. And to go on to what you're saying about Amador, that guy is amazing. There's no reason we shouldn't be using Pedro at any chance we can get. So and then to have a backup be someone like that, unless he's willing to do that, that would be great if he was willing to take that massive pay cut and be there. Then it's like, okay, great, but it's hard for me to imagine that's the way he'd want to go. But yeah, but it just seems like it would make more sense for maybe other teams. So maybe we had discovery rights. I don't know. Who knows?
Right. But it is also this. Rui hasn't played really in quite some time. And so, he still might sit on the bench. But, it's an odd one. We'll leave it at that.
Doesn't fit.
Yeah. So, next bit of news, not really bit, it is massive news. Our latest DP, it's official, Emmanuel Latte Lath. He has arrived. He is a 5-stripe, and he is signed until 2028. Chris Henderson mentioned that he's a forward with excellent pace and good goal-scoring instincts. His ability to stretch the field will add another dimension to our attack. They announced him with this very quick cutscene video where, just a little sliver of him showed up in the social media video. And the very, very keen-eyed people were able to point that out there in our Discord. And much kudos to them. But as far as getting our man from Middlesbrough, he comes from the EFL, the Championship. That's the second highest division in England. And they were in the midst of pretty much that promotion run to maybe get into the English Premier League, or Premier League rather. And in terms of 11 goals this season, 4 came from his left foot and 6 with his right. He's not the tallest guy. He's 5'10", but he can also finish with his head. But I think it's all about his pace, his ball striking ability, and his clinical ability to put the ball in the back of the net. And a lot of the Borough fans are upset. They did get Kelechi Iheanacho, who's a body basically for them, a striker that has been proven in previous clubs, with Leicester City, one of them. But with a player that's 26 years old, entering the prime of his career, the purported fee was about 22 to maybe 24, with add-ons that maybe move it up to 28. He has broken the MLS MLS record for a transfer fee that's incoming. Huge deal. He comes in as a player that has kind of the rising star power, but he will definitely I think for this league, he could do a lot of bits. You saw what Cucho Hernandez did for Columbus Crew. I think he's in that kind of vein where maybe a little taller, but definitely just super dangerous. And it's going to be super exciting to see what's going to happen. But he did make a visit already to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and he said, quote, "Oh, my days, man, I really can't wait to play here." And I mean, yeah, it's just when it's going to be all full and he scores his first goal, woo! The scenes, the limbs. But yeah, thoughts on Emmanuel Latte Lath?
Yeah, it's super exciting. I don't think, besides like Miguel Almirón, not a lot of people have been more excited for a signing than this guy in a while. It's really cool seeing the profile of, like we talked about in the past, about how fast the guy is, and boy, did they make sure to keep hitting on that piece in his teaser and then his release video. So that was something I think we can get back to, right? Swashbuckling soccer is back in Atlanta, it appears. We got the king of it at the time with Miguel Almirón, and then we obviously with Latte, and then Saba too, who we already know is very fast. So I mean, that's the heck of a speedster group up top. That's exciting. We like to see us going back to that because we've had kind of not that for a while. A lot of our strikers, a lot of our other some of our even wingers have been notoriously slow. So this is kind of more of a exciting, and maybe gets fans more thinking about like the swashbuckling football of old that kind of brought everyone's attention in the first place. And you mentioned it, I want to also shout it out to our Discord group. I like to call them our Baker Street Irregulars, if anyone gets that Sherlock Holmes reference. But like, they figure everything out. They're really, really good at that. I mean, you're not going to get this level of forensics anywhere else. So join the Discord so you can see people finding tiny little slivers of Latte Lath in the preview video before anyone else and posting it in the Discord.
Right. Like, truly incredible. And yeah, it's like, it's like on a level of, like film editor stuff. It's like like a millisecond, but somebody caught it. And it was, I was like, oh man, that's incredible. And it just had to post it. But yeah, so I mean, Latte Lath, it's gonna be incredible 4-prong attack where we're gonna have some dynamism in there, and plus, having some players off of the bench as well that will be offering different things. Jamal Tiare not leaned on to be the first choice striker. I mean, it just the depth in the attack right now is just incredible. So,
I have to press on that for a second. I mean, just think of this. Basically, our entire attack that we used last season are now all depth pieces. That's how much of an upgrade we've had in the attack. Like, it's incredible to think we're gonna, we can essentially sub on, do a full clean slate line change of our attacking, and then still have a MLS level competent attack just to back us up. Like, that's, to me, that is like, bathing in riches, an embarrassment of riches, right? So like, that's super exciting. I mean, imagine these guys, MLS defenders, they are so exhausted for having to deal with Miguel Almirón and Saba and Latte Lath for, like 60 minutes, 70 minutes. And then all of a sudden now they have to deal with Edwin Mosquera. They have to deal with Silva and Tiare, which Silva's not really that fast, but like, he can at least get around you. And then there's, we know Tiare and Edwin want to run. So that's going to be terrifying for other teams.
Indeed. Yeah, it's just it's an embarrassment of riches, and it's also competition for places. So, if any of those guys are not performing, well, you have guys that previously, were starting and now are going to be miffed. And so, they're going to want to improve. They're going to want to get playing time and not just get, 10 to 20 minutes. They're going to want to start. And I think that's fantastic. That's how you do it. Absolutely. But last bit of news is the 2025 MLS roster rules and regulations have been updated. And oh boy, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. We won't go over all of it, but
I was about to say, everyone, sit down, get your pencils and papers out, your glasses on. This is going to be a long. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, no, we're not going to do that because we're going to lull everybody to sleep with that. But yeah, I think some of the very interesting highlights are the basically at least Chris Ivy on Twitter. He did a really good job breaking a lot of this stuff down into more layman's terms. But one of the things he was touting was basically what he's trying to call RAM, or real actual money, which is what MLS is calling cash for trades. But it includes a 10% payment to the player and a budget charge, which all but guarantees that the real actual money will be used to acquire a new DP or a U22 initiative player. How that I guess kind of helps is, well, yeah, it's not just play money anymore. It's actual. You can use the real money that you actually have to actually move for a player, and incredible. Just who would have thought? Who would have thought that? But yeah, another one I think that is definitely very interesting is that let's see. Ones that we already knew, obviously, with the 2 U22 or 4 DP stuff is in there. I can't find it. Where is it? I mean, do you have something that stuck out to you in all of
that? Yeah, there's a couple of things. Let's see.
Oh yeah, the clubs being able to buy out 2 players is huge.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was something that we probably needed in yesteryear. I don't know if we're really going to do that this season, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. It's weird. I thought like we were probably definitely going to do a buyout, but I don't know. It's seeming like that may not be the case, surprisingly. So yeah. That kind of surprised me a bit that we may not be doing that. One of the ones was also supplemental roster spots has increased from 10 to 11. So entire roster overall increased from 30 to 31. So that's interesting. There's more interplay with players going, from your academy / second team to your first team for cup competition, other stuff like that. That's cool because we're always like kind of counting like, well, how many times did Luke Brennan play for us and like other things? And then is he allowed to travel with the team this time? I don't know. Like that was all very obnoxious. So that's, dealt with a little bit at least. Let's see, what else was there? The summer window has been pushed back a week, which better aligns MLS with European transfer market. That's a little bit going in the right direction. I wonder if that. I'm sure the conversation has been broached with fully aligning with the European calendar, which is still a massive thing and a massive change. That I'm not sure if we're close to that, but at least this points in that direction a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one that probably might rub some people the wrong way is the rule that basically if you earn a Club World Cup qualification, you basically get $750,000 in additional GAM, which it was a little bit contentious, for the lack of a better word, for Inter Miami getting that berth. But and so they definitely have a lot more money that they can play with to better their team, which, whole lot of BS. And Seattle Sounders as well, but they actually earned it. So
yeah, exactly. Another rule, so allowing for DP and U22 slots via loans outside the MLS. So as long as the acquiring club that takes on the loan takes on 100% of the player's salary, then that slot becomes open for the team that loaned the player out, which is huge. We were kind of stuck quite a few times in our time with a player or players that were loaned out but still occupied spots that we weren't able to then backfill. So that was, obviously with our U22 fiascos in the past, that was a bit of an issue. So hopefully, that'll be going. Like when I read that, I'm like, I feel like that was kind of like mainly affecting us.
Yeah,
So that was victory.
it definitely affected other teams, but I mean, for us, it was like, oh man, that hits home. That just that's a knife in the front there. It's like, man, if you guys had done that like 2 years ago, we would have been a lot more golden. But alas, here we are. It finally has happened. But but yeah, so we'll sum it up there. We don't need to go too much further, I think. But some overdue things that's finally have happened. So that pretty much does it for the news, and we get to the mailbag, and you guys send in these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your questions in the future, also in Discord as well. But yeah, you guys are slacking a little bit on the Discord, guys. Come on, we only got one true question here from okay, maybe two, we'll give it that. But yeah, first question comes from Joseph Better Than Carlos. Definitely. Who? What surnames are we referring to there, huh? But the question is, our attack is going to be crazy fast now with Lat, Miggy, Saba plus Lennon overlapping, but speed isn't everything. What kinds of defense to speed reliant teams struggle against usually? What do you think the weakest component of our attack will be?
What type of defense is good against essentially a speedy attack? One that's disciplined, that can offside trap really, really well, which is not, there's not like, I guess, a lot of teams that are like well known for doing that extremely well in MLS. I mean, I don't think it like happens more often, here than other places. So I don't know if that's necessarily something. I mean, like if you have really, really shrewd center backs, then that could be an issue. I remember, Yorgos got caught quite a few times, but that's also because he's trying to push the envelope. He's like, I like him get caught offside because that means he's trying, right, to get into that, to be dangerous. So I imagine Latte will probably be, and Miguel and other players will probably be caught offside often, but not necessarily because of offside trapping, but I'm sure that will also happen. That's one way to attempt to negate that. But I mean, I think Latte, I think Miguel, and Saba to maybe a lesser degree, I think they're pretty shrewd. I think they can probably win that more times than not. So I'm not sure that that's like a super viable strategy. I don't know if there's a super viable strategy to negate, because like we've seen teams try and negate it in 17 and 18 and they just couldn't. So there could also just be that. I'm hoping for that. That would be great. But yeah, do you know of an international football? Search your soccer encyclopedic brain. Is there defensive tactics, styles, formations, or whatever out there that is specifically designed to try and negate a speedy up top attack?
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely, teams that park the bus, teams that play in a low block, and essentially, if they are able to essentially, negate all the space inside the box, well, yeah, you pretty much have to either spread it out to the wings, overload, or try to shoot from distance. And, I think we have some players that might be able to do that. So that, I think, won't be a massive issue. Moranchuk shooting from the outside of the box, has proven to be somewhat accurate with that. Bartosz Schlisch as well, with a banger from outside. I think, definitely a player that can help us in that regard. And Click as well. I think if I recall his highlights a bit, is somebody that can also do that. So, yeah, those are the types of defenses that really, I think, stymie, really quick teams. But it's also, if we wanted to maybe sit back a little bit, and if we were just incredibly direct and, okay, we took risks, we're not really trying to prioritize the possession, or if there's a team that's better than us in possession, well, yeah, they're going to have to deal with us on the break. And good luck with that counterattack when all the runners are running. Woo! I am so excited for that. Oh my god. It's yeah. Like, there's gonna be so many, like, okay, well, this is the thing. The bends, most people are standing already anyway, but the people are just gonna be on their tippy toes. Like the kids are going to be on the, the very top of those seats. It's just going to be like, once the team gets past the halfway point, oh my days, it's just going to be a track meet. And really all I'm hoping for is that there's just ultimate health with all the players. But as far as the weakest component of our attack, I think it's probably going to be maybe possession a little bit. I don't think Latte Lath is necessarily a hold-up striker. So if we are to play in the box and try to play combinations, that might be a thing where, okay, we might have to kind of figure out, maybe it's off of Moranchuk, maybe it's off of, some other players. I think Miggy thrives more in open space. Saba, I think, can, and I think wants to as well, play off of other players. So I think, it's a very dynamic attack. It's not a very, big weakness if there were. So, that's where I'm coming from.
I think to add to that, I agree with you. I think possession, and we've seen it in the past, possession's always been kind of our weakness if we have one. And in that, we just kind of dominate possession. We're trying to play the ball out from the back, and it's kind of slow in progression. And then we lose it in a dangerous spot, and all of a sudden the other team is doing what we're essentially trying to hope to do to other teams this season is, go on a quick counter, a quick break, and then just blow them right off the hinges with how fast our attack is. So that, I think, is where it could kind of hurt us, because when you're at a team like this, is like you astutely point out, a lot of clubs will probably try, especially at home games, will try and low block against us. What do we do then? Well, we try and draw them out, so then we can open up space for our attackers to run in behind. So during that period we're attempting to draw out the defense, I think that's where they will look to try and intercept, break up a midfield pass, and then go on and try and hurt us from there. I think that's probably going to be our biggest weakness. Because, if a club is, I'm not, and I kind of harkening back to the beginning of the episode when we talked about how we were scoring a lot from headers and set pieces in the preseason. That gives, that kind of, it buoys a little bit of my concern of, if we're just overly reliant on us with our speedsters, that might be an issue. But we have a lot of headers going in. We have a lot of set piece attack, it seems like right now. That seems to be firing on a lot of cylinders. So if a low block appears, which I'm sure it will quite often against us at home, it looks like we might be able to deal with it with those types of, ripping in balls from the sides or from dead ball situations. So, I think it's just trying to manage, building up, because I think Ronnie did say, we are going to try and be possession based. And with doing that, we're going to have to draw out the other team. And we just have to be really careful. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But it is that we do have some fail safes in the back. Stian Gregerson, I think, when healthy, is a player that can chase down most of the players in this league. So, as that fail safe, it's not a bad option to have either. So we can play pretty aggressively in the opponent's half there. But next question comes from ATL UTD VIPs. Favorite places to get a latte, which Adam very astutely added Middlesbrough, which top banter. Love it. Michael.
I'm gonna say Dancing Goats in Decatur, because I go to the park across from there often with my kids. So if you see me there, say hi. But it's they have pretty good coffee, and their lattes are pretty good. So right across from oh my god, the Marley, I think, is right across from there. So they might be seeing some games being played on TV there too. So that's where I like to go.
Yeah, I don't really drink coffee, so I don't have an answer for this. But if I were, Yeah, I would probably not drink a latte, actually. I would probably just drink black coffee because that's how I do. But anyway, yep. So next question comes from, let's see, CJ Green, though, asks, are we living the best days of our lives? I'm assuming he's not talking about the daytime soap opera, but yeah.
Days of our lives, yeah. Yeah, I mean, times are good right now. I mean, on paper, everything seems to be correct. We just have to wait to see how things unfold. But I mean, if I'm a betting man, I think that you put your money on Atlanta United this season. I don't think it can really, steer you the wrong way.
I mean, bet on them for the MLS Cup. What were you betting on?
I mean, just, I would say bet on them being exciting. Bet on them making like minimum top 6. I'm hoping for at least top 4. Realistically, top 4. It's quite a bit to ask for them to go to win MLS Cup with this. This is essentially like a brand new team. So, but I mean, hey, it's possible. I mean, MLS is a wacky league. Anything's possible. So if you get into the playoffs, you can do some crazy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, to answer the question, best days of our lives, not yet, but once we start seeing the attack and, fans going crazy and filling out the stadium, which I fully expect. I think there's going to be a lot of excitement this year. So, yeah, it's going to be, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be 2018, but like a 2017 and a half, I feel like, I think is the... level of excitement here. But yeah, next question comes from Iquazar 93. Potential starting lineup. I think this is pretty easy, I think. Guzan, obviously. Lennon, Amador, fullbacks. Williams, Gregerson as the center backs. Schleich, Click as the starters in midfield, along with Alexei Moranchuk. And then Saba, Miggy on the wings. Probably Miggy on the right, Saba on the left. Although they can switch wings and be fluid throughout the game. And also Moranchuk and Miggy as well. And then, of course, Latte Lath up top. So, any different?
No, that's. I mean, you see that there's many pictures of the proposed starting 11 going around on Twitter and random or other Atlanta United fan TV communities or fan communities in general, and it's almost always with like zero variance that lineup, and it's everyone's excited for it.
Right. I mean, yeah, you might see Jay Fortune maybe in terms of over Click at times per se, but yeah, I mean, I think it's just exciting to be able to, for lack of a better word here, this is more like a Major League Baseball term, but to roster bait a little bit again, because because it really is where like the past lineups, I mean, let's just be honest, it wasn't really something that you're like, oh man, I really want to see this lineup together and with these players. It wasn't really like, oh, okay, what if they play together? What if, like, it's been some years since that's been the case, unfortunately. And right now at this point, it's just like, yeah, it's probably the easiest 11 to pick at the moment. But of course, until we get into the games and all that, we'll probably have some variance. But yeah, next question comes from let's see. A ton of questions. I'm trying to... Yeah, okay. KCT Photography asks, do you think Miggy will wear the captain's armband at some point?
At some point, yes, because his contract is going to be for a little bit. And Brad's may not be as long. But I think if Brad is here, it'll be with him. But if he goes, I think Almirón is just a no-brainer number 2.
Yeah, exactly. It's I'm trying to think of who the number 2s might be. I mean, it's like Brooks Lennon, I think has previously kind of been in and around that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, Derek Williams maybe, but I think as far as the stature, I mean, a DP, a guy who's playing in the Premier League, it's probably going to be Miggy. But yeah, next question comes from Land Guy in ATL. Is there any indication they're looking for a backup for Moranchuk? I think with the aforementioned Miggy probably being the understudy there. Yeah, I mean, you have that. You have Will Riley. Anybody else that you think of?
No, I don't know if they will be looking for a backup. Hopefully we won't need one, but I mean, Will Riley might have to do some things, but yeah, I think Moranchuk will probably be expected to play. I mean, it seems to be what happens with our 10s, right? Is they play like literally every game of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and hopefully that is the case. I mean, it is a ton of running, but they, Almada stayed relatively healthy. It was, definitely, a very, very fortunate thing. But let's see some other questions here. T Steel 48, does Atlanta currently have the defensive capabilities to back up our attack?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you mentioned earlier, I mean, we saw our defense in the last season and a little bit before that, like they did well. Like we weren't scored upon a heck of a lot. Our defense did pretty darn well, and I have a lot of confidence in Stan and Williams. They've really impressed. And Noah Cobb has done excellent as well when he, aside from kind of getting dunked on by Benteke, but that's not really his fault. And, Benteke will probably do that to you. He's just going to do that to you. So, I'm not going to fault him for that. So I think our defense has actually been pretty good. And I think it will be pretty good again. I mean, it's interesting to see, like, if our attack is firing on all cylinders, how does that demoralize our opponent to make them less effective in the attack? Like they may see like a game is over before it actually ends and then just kind of give up more so than like a lot of times in the past we've seen other teams claw their way back because they felt like they have some hope. Hopefully, we can find that, second, third, fourth goal that puts games away that we've apparently just were not able to do many, many times in previous seasons, which allowed the team a door open to come back into it. So, I think it may take some pressure off of the defense that way. And like I said, I have a lot of confidence in them individually as well. I mean, if you look at Abram as a backup, having Abram as a backup is actually quite, again, like an embarrassment of riches. Like it's a very good player to have as a backup. So, I'm happy with our defense. And I expect, say what you want. Like we have a lot in terms of our attack that's going to, everyone's going to be talking about how they're going to put up huge numbers this season. But I think we also have to look at that. I think our defense will put up huge defensive numbers too this season.
I hope so. It's definitely one of those things where, I'm high on our fullbacks getting numbers. Defensively on the right side, I'm a little concerned as always. I think, but the center backs, I think defensively can do a good bit. I think it's the starting the attack bit. They're going to be relied on to do that, and they're going to have to step up. It's definitely, we saw some progression, I think, from them. I think there is an aspect of it that, they need to be a little bit more secure. They, at times as well, on the flip side, need to maybe be a little bit more adventurous and, kind of spread it like, a long diagonal here and there. Keep that defense honest that they're playing against, so that it's so that they're not so easy to press and possibly get caught out. And I think the shielding in front of the defense will be better as well. With Schlieff being here another year, and as well, Click, like he's that metronome. He's that guy who, you can't get the ball off of him. And I think that's going to be really, really huge because, if you can connect those lines, it's going to be a lot easier when you have options to pass to versus, you just have to forego your midfield, which we've had to do.
That is exactly. That's where I think we've struggled, in the past. And I think like I identified earlier that's going to be one of our big weaknesses if we have one is that, the connective tissue in between the defense and the midfield. And I think teams will harp on that. They'll try and disrupt us there before things get bad for them, and then try and disrupt us there. So maybe we might see some more long balls from the CBs. I think as you were saying, and I'm reminded of Brad Guzan launching a lot of counters last year, just from straight up kicking it, and then sending our guys forward, which worked out quite nicely. More times than I expected it to. So, there's that's also an option as well, to, let loose an attack from all the way in the back. So, yeah, I think we might see a bit of a walkabout from some of our center backs. Hopefully they don't expose ourselves too much by doing that. But I think, though, with Schleich getting better and having a pairing with Click, I think like we will really be able to see you're gonna have the middle of the park really click, I think.
yeah, no pun intended. But yeah, or maybe pun intended, I don't know. But
very intended.
Yeah. So I mean, it's that. It's like the center back dynamic is definitely very important. In our heyday, Parky with LGP. I mean, you have you have somebody that is just more safe, reads the game really well. In Parky, and then you have LGP, who, yes, like you were talking about earlier, will go on that walkabout. Will, try to really make things happen, especially if the team is in a low block. Yeah, having that extra player in attack is super duper useful. I'm not really sure who that is. I mean, maybe Stian Gregerson at times is that center back that maybe will do that, but he also needs to be the failsafe. Derek Williams, I mean, I think he's more of that. He reads the game really well. He can't be that fail-safe, unfortunately. He probably will be beat for pace if, he's the last man. But, definitely as far as headers, as far as, organizing the team, he's everything that you can ask for, especially from a player that we picked up, almost like, scrap heap a little bit. So, it's definitely, I think, as far as, the defense, I think, to sum it up, those are where the pores are. And we'll just hope that, the other pieces around it are going to cover it up a little bit more. And hopefully not just paper over cracks. But last question comes from, is it Yoji? Yoji Perez. Not a question, but we up. I love it. That's it. That's exactly how I want to end that. And it really is.
How do you spell it?
We up.
No. The name.
Oh, Yoji. Yoji.
J-I. Yoji. Yeah. Okay.
Yoji. Right. Yep. Anyway, so that does it for the mailbag and pretty much the entire episode, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, which attacker outside of Emmanuel Latte Lath will score the most goals? Will it be Miggy, Saba, Moranchuk? Let us know in the comments below. But, looking forward to what you have to say down there. So, that is the episode there and there. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's been Michael. I've been AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.